Well, hi guys, it's that time. It's our Monday story. And yes, I want to go back a couple of weeks ago to when I was in Wichita Falls, Texas. Now, I had planned on live streaming on Facebook the teachings I did while I was there. I was meeting in a private home. There was 20, 25, probably 25 people there. And I taught on a Friday night, Saturday morning, and Saturday night. And unfortunately, I just did not have a strong enough internet signal to live stream on Facebook. It kept breaking up and wouldn't upload. But anyway, I left on a Tuesday. I stayed till Tuesday, and I had coffee with my bestest friend, Kathy, and we hung out till about 11 o'clock, just talking and talking about the meetings we had and all the wonderful things that we saw during our meetings that we had that week. And not just that, I call her my handler. She books appointments for me and has people coming to see me or me going to see people. So I don't just go and teach. I actually go and minister the entire time I'm there, okay? But anyway, as I left, it was about 11 o'clock. So the first thing I wanted to do was make sure my car was on full so I could travel as far as I could without pulling over. And so I'm at the tank, filling up, at the gas tanks, and I'm talking to a gentleman because he sees my Jesus t-shirt on, right? And he notices that I'm from Tennessee, and he says, well, so you're just visiting? And I explained to him that, I do traveling ministry and I teach about healing and stuff. But anyway, as I was standing there talking to him, I noticed that there is a Wendy's right there in the convenience store, right? So I drive up to the menu and I order 2 little crispy chicken sandwiches. It's off their dollar menu or whatever. So the girl gives me a quote, and I give her about 9 cents more than the order total, right? And I'm thinking, okay. So I get up there and she doesn't give me any change, and I thought, okay, well, that's odd. She didn't give me any change. She just handed me the receipt and the bag, right? I pulled up and I looked down, and lo and behold, she didn't short me 8 or 9 cents. She quoted it incorrectly, and I shorted her almost 10 cents. So I hop out of my car and I walk over and knock on her little drive-through window, and I handed her that dime, and she looked at me and she said, "What is this?" I said, "Well, I shortchanged you about 8 cents. And she's like, "Oh, well, that was okay. It wasn't a big deal." I said, "Oh, no. I don't want your drawer to be short. I might have misunderstood the total, but I did not mean to not give you enough money." And I know that some of y'all are sitting there going, "Well, aren't you just a little on overkill?" No, I'm absolutely not, okay? I represent the kingdom of God in everything that I do. And I am not going to knowingly drive away letting some person think that I just got over on them by 8 or 10 cents. Oh, absolutely not. You know what? I've got a Jesus sticker on my car. I got my Jesus t-shirt on, and I will not misrepresent my Father, not even over 8 cents, okay? So maybe I am overkill, but you know what? I'd rather err on that level than for people to think wrongly, not about me, but about who I represent, okay? So I hit the road, right? And here's what I really want to tell you about. So I drink a lot of water. Everybody that knows me knows I just walk around with a bottle of Aquafina in my hand. It's distilled water. It's the only water I drink, but it's distilled water, and I drink water constantly. And while I travel, I drink tons of water, and I'm always listening to some teaching that I want to really dig into as I travel. So I have gone as far as I can go without pulling over and going to the restroom, okay? And so I get off the ramp, guys, and there's this really nice place across the street, right? But something came over me and basically told me, don't go to that one, go over here. And I looked over at that other one, and you want to talk about not really eye-catching. It was run down, little rough looking, and I thought, okay, I'll go in there instead. And sure enough, I walk in the building, and the 2 ladies behind the counter was as nice as they could be. I went in the restroom, and it was nice and clean, not run down. They had just remodeled it. And when I came out, but this is what I want to tell you about. As I drove up, I noticed that there's a couple with the hood up on a car. And he's under there working on it. And look, guys, he's got a cut-off shirts on, and he's got tattoos all over him, and just kind of rough looking, honestly. And so was his wife. She had tattoos all over her, and they're both smoking cigarettes, and she's got some piercings on her, and so does he. And I thought, you know what? If they're still here when I come back out from the restroom, I will ask them if they need any help. But maybe he has this under control, and by the time I get out, they won't need anything. So I go in, use the restroom, come back out, and lo and behold, they're still there. They're still under the hood tinkering with it, right? And as I'm leaning in the car, I opened the car door, and I was leaning in to get some cold bottled water to offer them. It's 2:30 in the afternoon, and it is 100 degrees, and the humidity is just steaming outside. And I thought, you know what? They both look hot, and I noticed there was 2 kids in the back seat. And as I leaned into the car, I heard the teenager in the back seat say something to the woman standing out at the car door. And she said, hold on, here comes my 2 puppies to get in on the video. So anyway, the daughter says something to her, and she basically is telling her to ask me to help them. And the mom shakes her head no, like that. And then the daughter's like, yes, you have to ask her. And so as I looked up, I saw the mother turning around to come toward me. So I just stood up and headed toward her. And she said, ma'am, I'm so sorry to bother you and ask you, but would you be able to maybe help us? And about that time, the husband comes out from under the hood, and he says, yeah, could we possibly get a boost off of you? And I said, well, I don't have any booster cables. And he said, oh, I got booster cables. I'm a mechanic. I work right down the street here at one of the big engine shops for the trucking. I can't remember the name of it, for such and such trucking. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, well, I don't know where the battery is under this. It's a pretty new vehicle, and I haven't even looked under the hood. And he says, that's okay. I can find it. And he said, if it's under your hood, you can help me. But now if it's under your seat, which some of these vehicles have them under the seat, you won't be able to help me. And I said, well, that's okay. Let's see what I can do. Lo and behold, we popped the hood, right? And the battery is there. And I said, well, looky there. And he says, so is it okay? And I said, absolutely. And little do you know, I used to own a car mechanic shop, dealership, auto repair stuff. So anyway, I helped him hook up the battery cables. And we got it boosted off, okay? And as he's shutting the hood and trying to get in the vehicle, and I think the guy was trying to get to work because he was so nervous and trying in such a hurry to go. So as he was closing the hood, getting in the car, I went back over to my car, and I got those cold bottles of water out, and I walked back to the back where the teenager was, and I said, here, y'all look like you're hot. You might want some cold water. And that girl, the teenager that told her mom to ask me to help them, she went, yes, please, it is so hot. And I said, here, give this to your brother as well. And I gave them the water, and then I looked at the mom. I said, would you and your husband care for some water as well? And she said, oh, ma'am, that would be so nice of you. I said, it's no problem. And I gave them 2 bottles of water. And as she was getting in the car to drive, she turned around, and I did not know if this woman was going to start crying, if she was going to hug me or what, because she was barely able to keep herself together. She looked at me and she said, ma'am, I want to thank you, and I hope you have a blessed day. I just pray you have a blessed day. And I said, oh, baby, I will have a blessed day, and I pray that you do too. And she said, thank you again. And I said, it's okay. I'm glad I could help. Okay, so where am I going here? Did you know that I was a female traveling alone, and they looked really, really rough, guys. But you know what? They needed somebody to love them and not judge them. They just needed help that day. And those 2 kids were in the back seat. One was probably 12, and the other one was 7 or 8, maybe 9 years old. the brother, and even though they look really, really, really rough, okay, the bottom line here, they're still humans that need people to care about them sometimes. And it just so happened that Holy Spirit urged me to go into that rundown place that day because that couple needed somebody like me that would step out and just say, hey, let me help you guys, okay? Now, before I close today, I want to read you in two different translations. This is Matthew chapter 7, verse 12, and this is in the Living Bible, and it says, do for others what you want them to do for you. This is the teaching of the laws of Moses in a nutshell. Did you know that if I was on the side of the road or at a service station and I couldn't get my car to start and I was late for work, I would want someone to do for me what I did for that couple, right? So today I want to read it one more translation. This is in the Expanded Bible, and it's labeled the most important rule. And this is in red. Jesus was teaching this, and this is what Jesus said. So always, in everything, do to others what you want them to do to you. Treat them the way you want to be treated. This is the meaning of the laws of Moses and the teaching of the prophets. If we could just slow down long enough not to let life keep us in such a hurry and keep our Pharisee judgments out of the picture, sometimes we might actually see people who are just trying to survive, trying to get by, and they're just living in a fallen world, doing the very best they can. And guess what? We get to be the salt and the light in the earth. Guys, I love you, and I'll see you here tomorrow. Bye-bye.